I feel very warm. It's incredible these days. Yesterday was unbelievable. So we were looking for some fresh, cool area here, but on the lake it was hotter than here under the tree. So I hope next days the heat will go down, because otherwise it is very difficult to survive.
Things certainly seem to be heating up on planet Earth. Temperatures have reached record highs in many parts of the world. And after the warnings that climate change threatens our very existence, is the current wave of wild weather clear evidence of global warming? It's been so hot in the past few weeks, parts of the globe are literally burning. Forest fires, searing heat in Europe and Japan, also flooding across Asia. They've all killed hundreds of people. So is there time to reverse the damaging effects of global warming, or is it just too late? Robert Watson is a former senior scientist at the World Bank. He's the director of the Science Division for the Planet Earth mission at NASA. He's also the chair of the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. Thank you very much indeed for joining us on The Newsmakers. Are we past the point of no return, in your opinion?
It's quite clear that we humans are affecting the Earth's climate. We cannot stop global warming, but we can clearly limit it. We have already increased the temperature of the Earth by about 1 degree Celsius since 1900, and it's almost inevitable that it will increase another 1 to 3 degrees Celsius unless we start to do something to reduce our greenhouse gas emissions.
When you say we can affect the rate of climate change, but that is an issue of lifestyle, is it not? It's a question of consumerism. It's about everybody wanting more of everything. And if it is that that's going to make a difference to climate change, how likely really is it, given that industrialization and everything that comes with our lifestyles is now so much part of our human way of living?
It's going to be a major challenge to limit the amount of climate change. It will take government action, governments putting the right policies in place to stimulate clean energy. It will take industry to be willing to provide clean energy. And it will take us as individuals care in the way we use our energy. So it's basically a question of how do we produce energy more cleanly, more renewable energy, wind, solar power, rather than relying on dirty fossil fuels, coal, oil and gas. It will mean that we have to use our energy more efficiently in our buildings, in our cars and by industry. So it is possible to try and limit human-induced climate change. The question is there the political will at the government level, at the industry level, and we as individuals?
At what point can we say that we don't have to wait any longer for the trends that climate change deniers say need to happen? In other words, decades of a difference in temperature and in weather patterns. At what point do we say that no, it's here? Those trends are currently here. It's an undeniable, immutable fact that the climate is changing.
There is absolutely no question at all. We are already changing the Earth's climate. There is absolutely no question. We have been the major cause of the world warming up, especially in the last 50 years. It's causing heat waves around the world. It's causing floods around the world. It's causing droughts in many parts of the world, and it's increasing sea level. All of these things are having adverse effects on agriculture, on water supply, on human settlements and on human health. There is no question that climate change is already occurring and most of the effects are negative.
If the world does succeed in hitting the targets set by the IPCC, what are the worst effects of climate change going to be despite reaching those targets? What are the worst effects going to be in 50 years' time of climate change?
But what the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change says is even at a 2 degrees Celsius change, we will see decreased agricultural productivity in many parts of the world, especially in developing countries. We could see anywhere from 0.5 to 1 metre sea level rise over the next 50 to 100 years, displacing potentially millions of people in coastal areas and on low-lying deltaic areas and small islands. We could see water resource scarcity in many parts of the world, and indeed we are already seeing challenges to agricultural productivity in countries within Africa. We're already seeing water shortages in many parts of the world. We're already seeing destruction of coastal settlements due to increased cyclonic and hurricane activity.
You know about the contentious issue of migration. In Europe, in other parts of the world, we're doing a special on migration from Mexico to the United States here on the Newsmakers this week. Is climate change going to make parts of the world, and how much of the world, uninhabitable?
Whether the world becomes truly uninhabitable, it will certainly be less habitable. And indeed, most of the negative effects of climate change are on poor people in developing countries. While all of us will suffer from climate change, it is the poor, and it is poor in developing countries. This is most likely going to lead to some level of migration. People will either move within their own country, they'll move to neighbouring countries, or conceivable, it will actually push migration across transatlantic boundaries or from Africa into Europe. So there is no question climate change can only exacerbate the problem of migration that we have today.
Some people believe that scientific advances will solve the problem and that the planet will be saved through science. On Wednesday, there was news that scientists have found a way to produce a mineral called magnesite. And you'll know this, of course, and magnesite can absorb carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. What hope do you place in science as a solution?
Well, unfortunately, I can't place too much hope that we'll solve the problem today. What we need to do are advances in science, just as you've mentioned, but we need today to start to produce our energy in a cleaner manner. We need today to start to use our energy in a more efficient manner. So yes, I welcome advances such as the one you've just mentioned, but there are cost-effective ways today in all countries of the world, developed and developing, to try and reduce our emissions of greenhouse gases. So we need effectively a two-pronged attack. Reduce emissions today with the technology we've already got, and continue to find advances in science that can complement what we can already do today. And unfortunately, it isn't climate change just affecting food, agriculture, water resource. It also affects our biodiversity, our nature, the forests of the world, the coral reefs of the world, the mangrove systems of the world. And poor people throughout the world also rely on nature to provide livelihoods, to provide food, to provide medicines. So the issues of climate change and the so-called loss of biodiversity, the destruction of nature, are strongly coupled.
So, Robert, thank you very much indeed for joining us on the Newsmakers.